Book of Esther, Chapter 1. In the days of Ahasuerus, this is Ahasuerus that reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 120 provinces. In those days, when King Ahasuerus sat on his throne, which was in the palace of Shushan, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, even the power of Persia and Media, and to the captains and governors of the provinces which were before him, that he might show the riches and glory of his kingdom, and the honor of his great majesty many days, even 180 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast to all the people that were found in the palace of Shushan, both unto great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace, under an hanging of white, green, and blue cloths, fastened with cords of fine linen and purple, and silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver, upon a pavement of porphyry, and marble and alabaster, and blue color. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, and changed vessel after vessel, and royal wine in abundance, according to the power of the king. And the drinking was by an order, none might compel, for so the king had appointed unto all the officers of his house, that they should do according to every man's pleasure. The queen Vashti made a feast also for the women in the royal house of King Ahasuerus. Upon the 7th day, when the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Abagatha, Zethar, and Carcas, the 7 eunuchs that served in the presence of King Ahasuerus, to bring Queen Vashti before the king with the crown royal, that he might show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look upon. But the Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's word, which he had given in charge to the eunuchs. Therefore the king was very angry, and his wrath kindled in him. Then the king said to the wise men that knew the times, for so was the king's manner towards all that knew the law and judgment. And the next unto him was Karshena, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Mersena, Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and sat the first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto Queen Vashti according to the law? Because she did not according to the word of the king Ahasuerus, by the commission of the eunuchs. Then Memucan answered before the king and the princes, the queen Vashti hath not only done evil against the king, but against all the princes, and against all the people that are in all provinces of King Ahasuerus. For the act of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their own eyes, and shall say, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. So shall the princesses of Persia and Media this day say unto all the king's princes, when they hear of the act of the queen, thus shall there be much despitefulness and wrath. If it please the king, let a royal decree proceed from him, and let it be written among the statutes of Persia and Media, and let it not be transgressed, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto her companion that is better than she. And when the decree of the king, which shall be made, shall be published throughout all his kingdom, though it be great, all the women shall give their husbands honor, both great and small. And this saying pleased the king and the princes. And the king did according to the word of Memucan, for he sent letters unto all the provinces of the king, and to every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that he should publish it in the language of that same people. Esther chapter 2. After these things, when the wrath of the king Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what was decreed against her. And the king's servants that ministered unto him said, Let them seek for a king beautiful young virgins, and let the king appoint the officers through all the provinces of his kingdom, and let them gather all the beautiful young virgins unto the palace of Shushan, into the house of the women, under the hand of Haggai, the king's eunuch, keeper of the women, to give them their things for purification. And the maid that shall please the king, let her reign in the stead of Vashti. And this pleased the king, and he did so. In the city of Shushan there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a man of Benjamin, which had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity that was carried away with Jeconiah king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar king of Babel had carried away. And he nourished Hadassah, that is, Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful to look on. And after the death of her father and her mother, Mordecai took her for his own daughter. And when the king's commandment and his decree was published, and many maids were brought together to the palace of Shushan, under the hand of Haggai, Esther was brought also into the king's house, under the hand of Haggai, the keeper of the women. And the maid pleased him, and she found favor in his sight. Therefore he caused her things for purification to be given her speedily, and her state, and 7 comely maids, to be given her out of the king's house. And he gave change to her and to her maids of the best in the house of the women. But Esther showed not her people and her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not tell it. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house, to know if Esther did well, and what should be done with her. And when the course of every maid came to go in to the king Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months according to the manner of the women, for so were the days of their purifications accomplished, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and in the purifying of the women. And thus went the maids unto the king. Whatsoever she required was given her, to go with her out of the women's house unto the king's house. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, under the hand of Shashgaz, the king's eunuch, which kept the concubines. She came in to the king no more, except she pleased the king, and that she were called by name. Now in the course of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, which had taken her as his own daughter, came, that she should go into the king, she desired nothing but what the Haggai, the king's eunuch, the keeper of the women, said. And Esther found favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So Esther was taken into King Ahasuerus, into his house royal, in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all women, and she found grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the crown of the kingdom upon her head, and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, which was the feast of Esther, and gave rest unto the provinces, and gifts according to the power of a king. And when the virgins were gathered the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did after the word of Mordecai, as when she was nourished with him. In those days when Mordecai sat in the king's gate, 2 of the king's eunuchs, Bigthan and Teresh, which kept the door, were wroth, and sought to lay hand on King Ahasuerus. And the thing was known to Mordecai, and he told it unto Queen Esther. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when inquisition was made, it was found so. Therefore they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king. Esther chapter 3. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and exalted him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were at the king's gate bowed their knees and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not the knee, nor did reverence. Then the king's servants which were at the king's gate said unto Mordecai, Why transgressest thou the king's commandment? And albeit they spake daily unto him, yet he would not hear them. Therefore they told Haman, that they might see how Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not the knee unto him, nor did reverence unto him, then Haman was full of wrath. Now he thought it too little to lay hands only on Mordecai, and because they had showed him the people of Mordecai, Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is a lot, before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, unto the 12th month, that is the month of Adar. When Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, There is a people scattered and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of the kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people, and they do not observe the king's laws. Therefore it is not the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver by the hands of them that have the charge of this business, to bring it into the king's treasury. Then the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' adversary. And the king said unto Haman, Let the silver be thine, and let the people do with them as it pleaseth thee. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written, according to all that Haman commanded, unto the king's officers, and to the captains that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people, and to every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people according to their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written, and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by posts into all the king's provinces, to root out, to kill, and to destroy all the Jews, both young and old, children and women, in one day, upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to spoil them as a prey. The contents of the writing was, that there should be given a commandment in all the provinces, and published unto all people, that they should be ready against the same day. And the posts compelled by the king's commandment went forth, and the commandment was given in the palace of Shushan. And the king and Haman sat drinking, but the city of Shushan was in perplexity. Esther chapter 4. Now when Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes, and put on sackcloth and ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried with a great cry and a bitter. And he came even before the king's gate, but he might not enter within the king's gate, being clothed with sackcloth. And in every province and place, whither the king's charge and his commission came, there was a great sorrow among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and mourning, and many lay in sackcloth and in ashes. Then Esther's maids and her eunuchs came and told it to her. Therefore the queen was very heavy, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Then called Esther Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs, whom he had appointed to serve her, and gave him a commandment unto Mordecai to know what it was and why it was. So Hathach went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that which had come unto him, and of the sum of the silver that Haman had promised to pay into the king's treasures because of the Jews, or to destroy them. Also he gave him the copy of the writing and commission that was given at Shushan to destroy them, that he might show it unto Esther, and declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go into the king, and make petition and supplication before him for her people. So when Hathach came, he told Esther the words of Mordecai. Then Esther said unto Hathach, and commanded him to say unto Mordecai, All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, man or woman, that cometh to the king into the inner court, which is not called, there is a law of his, that he shall die, except him to whom the king holdeth out the golden rod, that he may live. Now I have been called to come unto the king, not in these 30 days. And they certified Mordecai of Esther's words. And Mordecai said that they should answer Esther thus, Think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou holdest thy peace at this time, comfort and deliverance shall appear to the Jews out of another place, but thou and thy father's house shall perish. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time? Then Esther commanded to answer Mordecai, Go and assemble all the Jews that are found in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and eat not nor drink in 3 days, day or night. I also and my maids will fast likewise, and so will I go into the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went his way, and did according to all that Esther had commanded him.